Capricorn, God is rearranging your life behind the scenes. Right now, as you watch this video, something powerful is happening in your life that you can't see yet. God is moving pieces on the chessboard of your existence, rearranging circumstances, closing doors you thought you needed, and opening windows you never knew existed. And Capricorn, if you've been feeling like everything is falling apart, like nothing is working out the way you planned, like you're being stripped down to nothing, that's exactly the point. What I'm about to share with you are 5 divine revelations about what's really happening behind the scenes of your life right now. These aren't just astrological insights. These are spiritual truths that will explain why you've been feeling so unsettled, so tested, so pushed to your absolute limits. And by the end of this video, you'll understand that what looks like destruction is actually divine reconstruction. But before we dive deep into this transformation that's unfolding in your life, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of these messages that are meant specifically for you. And drop a like on this video if you're ready to understand what God is really doing in your life right now. Trust me, Capricorn, you're going to need to hear this. Let's begin. Capricorn, you are the architect of your own life. You've always been that way. From the time you were young, you learned that if you wanted something, you had to build it yourself, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice, tear by tear. You didn't wait for anyone to save you. You climbed that mountain alone with bleeding hands and aching feet because you believed that security came from what you could construct with your own 2 hands. And, oh, how you built. You built careers. You built reputations. You built walls around your heart so high that even you forgot how to climb over them. You built routines and systems and 5-year plans because control felt like safety and safety felt like love. You became the pillar everyone else leaned on, the strong one, the responsible one, the one who never breaks. But here's what's happening right now that you can't fully see yet. God is demolishing that foundation. Not because it was wrong, not because you failed, but because what you built was constructed on the shaky ground of fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of being abandoned, fear of showing weakness, fear of needing anyone. Think about it, Capricorn. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be truly vulnerable? When was the last time you asked for help without feeling like you were admitting defeat? When was the last time you let someone see you cry without immediately apologizing for it and pulling yourself back together? You've been so busy being strong for everyone else that you forgot what it feels like to rest. You've been so focused on building empires that you forgot to build a home within yourself where your soul could actually live. And now God is stepping in, not as a punisher, but as a loving parent who sees that the castle you built is actually a prison. The job you thought was your identity, God is removing it. The relationship you thought would last forever, God is dissolving it. The plans you made with such careful precision, God is unraveling them. And it feels like betrayal. It feels like loss. It feels like everything you worked for is crumbling. But here's the truth that will set you free. God isn't taking things away from you. He's taking things away for you. He's clearing the ground. He's removing the unstable structures. He's demolishing what was built on fear, so he can construct something built on faith, on divine purpose, on unshakable truth. You see, Capricorn, you've been trying to build a life that protects you from pain. But God is trying to build a life that transforms your pain into purpose. You've been constructing walls. God is constructing wings. And wings require you to let go of the ground you've been clinging to. This demolition phase you're in right now, it's not the end of your story. It's the clearing of the land for the most magnificent chapter yet. But you have to trust the process. You have to trust that when everything is falling apart, something greater is being assembled in the invisible realm. You have to believe that God sees what you cannot see, knows what you do not know, and is working in ways that are beyond your understanding. So stop trying to hold on to the ruins. Stop trying to rebuild what God is tearing down. Stop resisting the divine demolition. Because on the other side of this breakdown is a breakthrough so powerful, so aligned with your true purpose, that you'll look back at this moment and thank God for not letting you settle for the life you thought you wanted. The foundation is being demolished, yes, but God is the master builder, and what He's about to construct in your life will be unshakable, unbreakable, and unmistakably divine. Capricorn, let's talk about something you've perfected over the years, the art of suffering in silence. You learned early on that expressing your pain made you a burden. You learned that showing your struggles made you weak. You learned that people respected the version of you that had it all together, not the version that was barely holding on. So you smiled when you were breaking. You showed up when you were exhausted. You said, "I'm fine," when you were drowning. And you convinced yourself that this was strength, this ability to endure without complaint, to carry weight without asking for help, to bleed without making a sound. But here's what God is revealing to you right now. Your silence was never strength. It was survival. It was a coping mechanism you developed to protect yourself in environments where your pain wasn't welcome, where your needs weren't met, where your vulnerability was weaponized against you. And it worked. For a while, it worked. You survived situations that would have destroyed others. You endured losses that would have shattered weaker souls. You carried burdens that would have crushed people who weren't built with your resilience. But Capricorn, God didn't give you that strength just so you could survive. He gave it to you so you could thrive. And thriving requires something survival doesn't: authenticity, connection, expression, voice. Think about how heavy the silence has become. Think about all the words you swallowed, all the tears you held back, all the screams you muffled in the privacy of your car or your shower or the darkness of 3 a.m. Think about how exhausting it is to constantly perform strength when what you really need is rest. God is rearranging your life to create space for your truth. He's removing people who couldn't handle your honesty, so He can bring in people who will honor it. He's dismantling situations where you had to pretend, so He can establish environments where you can be real. He's breaking the pattern of silent suffering, so He can teach you the power of sacred expression. Because here's what you need to understand. Your voice is not a weakness. Your voice is a weapon. When you speak your truth, you break generational curses. When you express your pain, you give others permission to do the same. When you stop pretending and start being real, you become a lighthouse for every other soul who's been drowning in silence. God is calling you out of hiding. He's calling you to stop performing and start being. He's calling you to lay down the mask of having it all together and pick up the freedom of being authentically, messily, beautifully human. And yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it feels vulnerable. Yes, there's a risk that people won't understand, won't accept, won't stay. But Capricorn, the people who leave when you get real were never meant to stay. They were attached to the performance, not to your soul. And God is making room for the people who will love you not despite your struggles, but through them. Your silence kept you safe, but your voice will set you free. This is what God is teaching you behind the scenes. This is the rearrangement happening in your life. He's not just changing your circumstances. He's changing you. He's transforming you from a silent survivor into a vocal victor. So speak, cry, scream if you need to. Tell your story. Share your struggle. Let the world see that beneath the armor is a human being who hurts, who hopes, who needs, who feels. Because that's not weakness, Capricorn. That's the beginning of true power. Capricorn, you know that feeling, don't you? That deep, aching loneliness that sits in your chest even when you're surrounded by people. That sense of being fundamentally alone, fundamentally misunderstood, fundamentally different from everyone around you. You felt it at parties where everyone's laughing, but you're analyzing. You've felt it in relationships where you're physically present but emotionally distant. You've felt it in your own family, where somehow you became the black sheep, the one who thinks differently, the one who doesn't quite fit the mold. And you've tried to fix it. You've tried to be more social, more open, more like everyone else. You've tried to lower your standards, dim your light, make yourself smaller so others would feel more comfortable around you. You've exhausted yourself trying to belong in spaces that were never meant to hold your energy. But here's the truth that will change everything. That loneliness you've been feeling isn't a punishment. It's preparation. God isn't isolating you because you're unworthy of connection. He's isolating you because He's preparing you for a level of purpose that requires a different level of focus, a different level of energy, a different level of spiritual alignment. Think about every great figure in history, every prophet, every pioneer, every revolutionary. Before their breakthrough came their isolation. Before their elevation came their separation. Moses in the desert, Jesus in the wilderness, Joseph in the prison, David as a shepherd. God isolates who He's about to elevate. And Capricorn, that's exactly what's happening to you right now. Pause for just a second. Have you felt this isolation? Have you experienced this deep loneliness even when surrounded by others? Drop a comment below and let me know. Say, yes, if you felt this. Say, I'm ready if you're ready for the elevation that's coming. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Don't skip this. Your comment could change someone's life. Now, let's continue. Capricorn, let's be honest about what you've lost recently. Maybe it was a relationship you thought was forever. Maybe it was a job you built your identity around. Maybe it was a friendship that suddenly dissolved. Maybe it was a dream that died, a plan that failed, an opportunity that slipped through your fingers. And it hurt. God, it hurt. Because you don't invest lightly, Capricorn. You don't give your heart casually. When you commit to something, a person, a path, a purpose, you commit fully, completely, with everything you have. So when it ends, when it's taken away, when it crumbles despite all your effort, it doesn't just hurt. It feels like death. You've been grieving. Maybe you haven't called it that. Maybe you've called it moving on or staying strong or focusing on the next thing. But deep down, you've been grieving. You've been mourning what was, what could have been, what you thought would be. But here's what God wants you to know. Every single thing He's removed from your life was blocking something better. Every door He closed was protecting you from a path that would have led you away from your destiny. Every person He removed was preventing you from meeting the people who are truly meant to walk with you. Every plan He disrupted was redirecting you toward the purpose He designed specifically for you. You see, Capricorn, you have a habit of settling. Not because you lack ambition, you have plenty of that, but because you're so practical, so grounded, so focused on building security that you often choose what's available over what's possible. You choose the relationship that's there over waiting for the one that's right. You choose the job that pays over the calling that fulfills. You choose the safe path over the sacred path. And God, in His infinite love and wisdom, refuses to let you settle. So He removes, He disrupts, He rearranges, not to punish you, but to position you, not to hurt you, but to heal you, not to take from you, but to prepare you for what He's been preparing for you. Think about this. What if that relationship that ended was actually preventing you from becoming who you need to be? What if that job you lost was actually blocking you from the career that would truly fulfill your purpose? What if that door that closed was actually protecting you from a path that looked good but would have led to destruction? God sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. He understands that sometimes the greatest act of love is removal, removing the comfortable so you can reach for the exceptional, removing the familiar so you can embrace the extraordinary, removing the good so you can receive the great. Every loss has been a divine redirection. Every ending has been a sacred beginning. Every removal has been a strategic repositioning. And when you finally arrive at the destination God has been guiding you toward, when you finally step into the life He's been rearranging everything to give you, you'll look back at every loss and say, "Thank you. Thank you for loving me enough to not let me settle. Thank you for removing what I thought I needed, so you could give me what I actually deserve." The losses aren't random, Capricorn. They're strategic. They're purposeful. They're part of a divine plan that's bigger than your pain and more beautiful than your current understanding can comprehend. Trust the removal. Trust the rearrangement. Trust that God is clearing the path for your greatest chapter yet. Capricorn, you've been praying, haven't you? Maybe not on your knees, maybe not in a church, maybe not with religious words, but you've been praying in the quiet moments, in the desperate moments, in the moments when you whispered into the universe, "There has to be more than this. There has to be something better. There has to be a reason I'm still here." You've been asking for change. You've been asking for breakthrough. You've been asking for the life you know deep down you're meant to live, the one where you're not just surviving but thriving, not just existing but truly alive, not just going through the motions but living with purpose and passion and peace. And God heard you. Every prayer, every whisper, every tear, every desperate plea in the middle of the night, when you couldn't sleep because the weight of your own unfulfilled potential was crushing your chest. God heard it all. But here's what you need to understand about answered prayers. Capricorn, they rarely come in the package you expect. You asked for change, and God sent upheaval. You asked for growth, and God sent challenges. You asked for breakthrough, and God sent breaking. Because you can't receive what you've been praying for while you're still holding onto what's familiar. You can't step into the new while you're clinging to the old. You can't be filled while you're still full of the wrong things, wrong beliefs, wrong relationships, wrong versions of yourself that you've outgrown. God is breaking you open, not to destroy you, but to deliver you, not to harm you, but to transform you. He's breaking open the hard shell you've built around your heart so love can actually get in. He's breaking open the rigid structures of control so you can experience true freedom. He's breaking open the prison of who you thought you had to be so you can become who you were actually created to be. And yes, it's painful. Breaking always is. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly without the struggle of breaking out of the cocoon. The seed doesn't become a tree without breaking open in the darkness of the soil. The diamond doesn't form without intense pressure breaking down what was once just coal. You are being transformed, Capricorn. Everything you're going through right now, every challenge, every loss, every moment of uncertainty, every experience that's pushing you to your edge, it's all part of the transformation. It's all part of the breaking open that must happen before the breakthrough can come. So stop resisting it. Stop fighting the process. Stop wishing things would go back to how they were. Because Capricorn, you were never meant to go back. You were meant to go forward. You were meant to evolve. You were meant to shed the old skin and emerge as something more powerful, more aligned, more authentically you than you've ever been. The breaking you're going through is the answer to your prayers. The rearranging that's happening behind the scenes is God positioning you for the life you've been asking for. The discomfort you're feeling is the growing pain that comes before the expansion. And when you finally break all the way open, when the transformation is complete, when you step into the fullness of who you're becoming, you'll understand that every tear was worth it. Every struggle was necessary. Every moment of breaking was actually the moment you began to truly live. So here you are, Capricorn, standing in the middle of what feels like chaos. Your life doesn't look the way you planned. Your heart doesn't feel the way you hoped. Your path isn't clear, your future isn't certain, and you're being asked to trust a process you can't see and believe in a plan you don't understand. But this is your moment. This is the moment when everything changes, not because your circumstances suddenly shift, but because you do. This is the moment when you stop trying to control everything and start surrendering to something greater. This is the moment when you stop performing strength and start experiencing true power. This is the moment when you stop running from the breaking and start embracing the breakthrough. God is rearranging your life behind the scenes. Yes, but He's also rearranging something far more important. He's rearranging you. He's dismantling the false versions of yourself that were built on fear and rebuilding you from the inside out with faith. He's removing what was blocking you and positioning you for what He's been preparing for you all along. And Capricorn, when you finally arrive, when you finally see what all of this was for, when you finally understand why every door had to close so the right one could open, when you finally step into the life that was custom designed for your soul, you'll fall to your knees in gratitude. Not because the journey was easy, but because the destination was worth it. Not because you never doubted, but because you kept going anyway. Not because you never broke, but because in the breaking, you discovered that you were being made new. This is your becoming. This is your rearrangement. This is God working behind the scenes. And Capricorn, it's all for you. So let me ask you this, Capricorn. Can you trust what you can't see? Can you believe that even in the darkness, even in the uncertainty, even in the moments when it feels like everything is falling apart, God is actually putting everything together? Can you surrender the need to control and embrace the freedom of faith? Can you let go of who you thought you had to be and discover who you were actually created to become? I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is God rearranging in your life right now? What are you letting go of? What are you finally ready to receive? Your story matters. Your journey matters. And someone watching this video right now needs to hear that they're not alone in this process. And if this message spoke to your soul, if you felt seen, if you felt understood, share this video with another Capricorn who needs to hear this. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because I'm creating content specifically for you, specifically for this journey you're on, specifically to remind you that you are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, and you are exactly where you're meant to be. God is rearranging your life behind the scenes. Capricorn, trust the process. Trust the plan. Trust that what's coming is greater than anything you've lost. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep climbing, keep trusting, and keep believing. You've got this, and God's got you.